Jimmy, it's been a while, buddy. It's great to
What's
see you
up?
again.
Yeah,
I
likewise, bud.
I am happy we're putting something out there on YouTube again for the first time in a long time.
Yes.
And we have a few pretty cool things to talk about today. So, first and foremost, there was news about the Rivian R2 reveal. Then I also did something pretty cool last week. Took several days on an EV advocacy mission and did a road show in
That's
East
cool.
Texas, which is an interesting place to go and talk about EVs, but we could talk about that a little bit more later. And then also, lots of cool stuff coming up from an event perspective, including the Rivian Stories FamCamping event. And yeah, coming up in March, and there's much, much more. Clubs are really ramping up across the
Yeah.
country and doing a lot of really cool things. So anyway, well, Jimmy, what's been going on, and how do you feel about the Rivian R2 reveal?
Man, so uh have we've had a ton going on. We finally got the truck. I'm kind of switching gears real quick and I'll come back to R2. So we finally got the truck back after we got into that car accident back in November. So we got the truck back January 16th. So it's great to have our truck back and not be in a 2023 Ford F-150 XLT cloth seats, V6, vinyl floors, front bench seat. It wasn't fun. But anyways, R2, super pumped. There was a lot of for those that weren't aware, there was a lot of news about this, what, two-ish weeks ago, I think it was, right about when a blogger found some um city council notes that talked
Yep.
about it, and talked about Rivian needing some additional space at Laguna for an event on March 7th from like 3:30 to sundown, 3:30 in the afternoon to sundown out there in California. And so it was definitely um, a lot of talk. And honestly, I wouldn't even say speculation at that point. I mean, it seemed like a pretty for sure thing that it was happening. Um, but then, sorry, I'm interrupting myself because I realize my laptop is dying. Um, but now today, of all days, uh, RJ posted that um, it for sure is happening on March 7th, and then sent invites out to a group of folks um, for it, which is pretty exciting. I actually got an invite, and I believe you did as well, Skyler. But unfortunately, we've got an event coming up that uh, we've planned too hard for, and I'm not going to miss hanging out with my Rivian Stories peeps. So unfortunately, we won't be in attendance. Um,
Yeah, and that is a bummer because I know that Rivian's going to go all out. I am super curious to see how many R2 vehicles are unveiled. I mean,
yeah.
what's your guess?
I really hope. Uh, I would like to see one of each. Honestly, like if they've got if they have multiple wheel options, I hope we get to see like one of each wheel option. If they have different trim packages, like a launch, like an adventure, or if they bring in the Explorer under the R2, I really hope we get to see one of each. Like I think that would be really cool to get a really good idea of what we could expect as potential R2 owners. Um, I know for us personally, I wouldn't mind trading. I think, and Nikki would agree with me, I wouldn't mind getting rid of our Model Y that we've only had since August. Granted, by the time the R2 comes out, our Model Y will be a couple years old at that point. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't mind putting down a deposit as long as it wasn't astronomical for an R2. So I really hope we get to see the breadth of the lineup and what they plan on doing, at least as like on a high level packages perspective. You know,
Agreed. And my bigger question, I know that, RJ and Jeff Hamoud both teased one body style, which looks to be a smaller SUV and or crossover. But I'm really curious whether there are going to be multiple different models and body styles that are revealed as part of this as well.
yeah. When you say that, I'm assuming you're talking like if they actually threw in a R2T
Well,
versus just a R2S.
right. Are there going to be
Interesting.
different models, different form
Yeah.
factors?
Yeah, interesting. I don't.
Because, yeah, I mean, we know that Rivian wants to go after the mass market, and crossover and SUV is probably the biggest segment of the market. But will there be a
Right.
smaller truck? Will there be? I know there was talk of kind of a rally car type model, and that's going way back.
Yeah.
And I'm, yeah, I can't wait. But one of the
Yeah.
things that I really hope they bring to the table is as many details and as many of the tech specs as they can. And
Yeah.
granted, revealing in 2024 for vehicles that probably will not hit the market until 2026, I realize a lot of things could change,
Yeah.
but the more information, the better,
Oh,
in
yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah. And I hope, yeah, I'd hope to see a new color lineup as well. I think I'm not saying that we're due for new colors because I think all the colors that we have in the R1 lineup are great, to include Compass Yellow, um, aka Chick-fil-A sauce. But I think the R2, we're going to see some new colors. So I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be pretty sweet. And I hope they don't hold back too. I hope this doesn't turn into like, at least with the R2. I mean, granted, this is I don't want to say it's set in stone, but this is what we're getting. I believe like what they show is probably as close to production as probably even closer to production than what we saw with the original R1 at LA in 2018. But I really hope that they don't like uh, skimp out on specs, like as far as power and torque and that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want it to be weak for the sake of it being weak
Right.
power wise.
And I want details about the suspension as well,
Yeah.
because the R1s have the adjustable air suspension and the cross-linked hydraulic adaptive damping suspension. And I really don't think I think the R2s will have a much more traditional suspension, which in a lot of ways I think is a good thing.
Right.
But that's all of the tech and engineering type details that I would love to see.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if the R1 was any indication of what the tech specs were revealed at launch by RJ and using all the crazy cool words like uh, hydraulic dampening, uh, what were some of those things that he said at the reveal in LA? I'm drawing a complete blank on now, but
It's been too long, man.
it has. It has. I need to go
If you
back and
think about it,
refresh. Yeah.
that was 5.5 years ago, Jimmy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Almost.
Almost. Yeah. I mean, we're knocking on the door in 5.5 years. So yeah, like hydraulically dampened, cross link, uh, something like that. Yeah. So I mean, if like I said, if that's any indication on specs and the revelation that they gave us for that reveal, hopefully that carries over to R2.
And I'm looking forward to jumping back into the YouTube comments with all of our people. So I'm
Yeah.
curious what everybody wants to see from the reveal, what they hope to see from a R2 kind of overall vehicle perspective, whether that's
Yeah.
drivetrain, suspension, form factor, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. It'll be exciting to see for sure. I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely looking forward to that. And one more thing that we should mention as we kind of move into the rest of the segment is I'm wondering if we might hear more on the upcoming earnings call, which is scheduled for February 21st.
Correct.
And granted, I should have talked to you about this before we jumped on, but we normally do a live stream to listen to the earnings call and also chat with people and, kind of do our analysis and takeaways after they wrap up. I assume we're going to try to do that again for this upcoming earnings call, but there's always some really interesting tidbits that come out of those earnings calls, and obviously I think they'll be talking at least a little bit about R2 as part of that as well.
Sure. And if you think I didn't already have that live stream set up for February 21st at 5 p.m., you would be wrong, because I do. I just haven't sent you the link yet, but it is scheduled and ready to go. So, yeah.
Outstanding. Well, kind of moving on a little bit, about half of last week, I was driving all over East Texas, over 1,200 miles traveled.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so started off a trip in Beaumont, went up to Lufkin, Texas, went to Tyler, Texas, Longview, Texas, and then wrapped up in Texarkana in the very northeast corner of my great state. It was a heck of a time. It was really, really interesting. Part of it was just kind of overall EV advocacy, but it's the first time that I had ever participated in a press tour like that. And East Texas is interesting. I mean, there were 3 organizations that were participating in this roadshow. One is Texetra, which is Electric Transportation Resources Alliance, and they're just all about EV advocacy in general. There was the Texas Electric School Bus Project, and so I got to see my first electric school bus ever, which was pretty cool. And interesting fact about that is the entire drivetrain was made by Cummins. They popped the hood on it, and yeah, you probably can't zoom in, but I saw a familiar logo, and yeah, and ended up talking to one of the reps that came from the dealership for the bus, or anyway, but yeah, it's awesome. A Cummins drivetrain. So we're definitely seeing traditional transportation companies really starting to get into the mix as it relates to diversifying and electrifying, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. That is cool. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do this without screwing this up, because I lost my place. But there's a few other pictures of the group that you sent me.
Yeah. So we had, with regards to EVs represented, we had a Hummer EV, we had an F-150 Lightning, we had my Rivian R1S, and we had a couple Teslas. And not
Not this Hummer, but a Hummer. That was it.
Correct. Yeah, the one that we had was a white Hummer EV, but I saw that one, the orange one,
Yeah.
at the Electrify America station in Waco, Texas. It is the first orange one that I had seen, and it was definitely eye catching. That is a bright, bold orange.
I assume that's a wrap, or was that a factory color?
It
Did you
appeared.
have
I
it?
didn't. I
Yeah,
didn't go up and get real close and scrutinize it, but it looked like a factory color to me. I mean, if it
that
was a
is.
wrap, they did an amazing job.
Yeah, that is. That's pretty wild, man. That's like sun-kissed orange, like
Oh yes, very
orange,
bright,
orange. Yes, that's
100%.
cool. So,
Yeah.
did everybody come from the same area, or did you all just kind of come from different areas, meet at the beginning, and then go to all the way to Texarkana and back?
So yeah, we met in Beaumont. A lot of the attendees were from the Austin area. Um, a couple from Houston, one from San Antonio, and one from North Texas.
Yeah,
So yeah, pretty good geographic representation.
gotcha.
The two other organizations that I forgot to mention that was pretty cool is Conservative Texans for Energy Innovation, which is a really cool organization actually. And I feel like in East Texas, or in a lot of parts of Texas, having kind of the free market and conservative point of view really helps resonate, and I feel like it helped us get some traction with the areas that we visited. The other person that was along, it was from Texas Department of Transportation, and his team is responsible for the NEVI fast charging plan and program rollout. So hearing him talk about how all of the fast charging infrastructure is rolling out here in Texas,
Yeah,
where we're at, where the future phases are, was really, really cool too.
that's awesome. That's awesome. I know you've got a video queued up that you want to show everybody. So,
So
you want me
this,
to pull it? Yeah, you want me to pull it up, or you
yeah,
got it?
yeah, go ahead and pull it up. So I'm going to set it a little bit though. So this is just the tail end of one of the news stories, and this one cracked me up. And to answer before people ask, yes, it was me. So I'm just going to play it.
Now, I did not get a chance to go on a test drive myself, but I did get to ride in one, and when the driver punched it to the floor, the force of the acceleration almost knocked the camera I was holding into my face. But for now, reporting in Texarkana, Hunter Trombetta, NBC6 News.
Yeah, plenty of power. All right, Hunter, thanks so much for that.
Love it. Yes, that's what 835 horsepower looks like.
Yeah. And giving people tours and, ride alongs was
yeah.
probably the most fun part of it. But yeah, obviously I did a little bit of speaking, did some TV interviews and stuff like that. And hopefully we can put some links down in the video description for anybody that would like to watch any of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I'll do my best to put links that you provided to me in the description, so people can look at the print. People can watch some of the news stories that came out from it, and enjoy watching that last bit of that video a few more times. So yeah, that's cool, man. 1,200 additional miles. That's not, that had to be round trip, correct? That wasn't one way.
Yes.
Gotcha. So
No.
that takes you to how many miles in the truck so far? I say truck
So
as your S.
yeah, so I have about 28.5 on it right now. And
Nice.
yeah, it's I did actually just change the tires. So I know that we're going to talk about that separately here in a minute, but
Yep.
I got some new tires that I think might be the perfect tire for most Rivian owners. So yeah, we'll put out a different video about that separate recording.
Yep.
And Jimmy, what was the last thing that we were supposed to talk about?
The reason why you and I, whom both received invites to the R2 launch, are not going to the R2 launch because we're going to the second annual Rivian Stories FamCamping trip in Summerton, South Carolina.
That's right.
From March 8th to the 10th.
And
So,
it will be my first time ever in South Carolina, believe it or
ever?
not. Yes.
Shut up. Seriously?
Yes. Yes.
Have you-
I've been all around South Carolina, every state that touches it, but I have never been into South
Wow.
Carolina. So I'm looking forward to it.
I cannot wait for you to experience those trash roads. Those roads. they give normal Bloomington a run for their money.
Oh, no way.
Oh yeah. I-95 is a hot mess. I can't wait. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Well, now you're really getting me excited, Jimmy.
Yeah. It's a blast.
Yeah, and I think the FamCamping trip is full now, correct?
So the blockout that I had ended on January 31st. The blockout that I had for all the spots. So I know there are spots available for sure. We just had Dean from New Jersey. He just booked a site today, actually. At least told me that he booked it today. So we're up to 34 families from 12 states, which is amazing. And last year was 19 families from 9 states. So we added an additional 3 and an additional 15 families, which is awesome from last year. Great time. Not a ton on the schedule, so there's a lot of open free time, family time, go fishing, go kayaking, boating, hanging out, swimming if you're brave enough. The pools will be open, but it'll probably be pretty chilly.
Hey, cold plunge is all the rage, my man.
Exactly. They say it makes you young. I don't know about that, but yeah, I'm excited. I really am.
I am too, and I would encourage anybody watching this to go over to Rivian Stories website and check out all the events. There's so many clubs that are doing cool things. I mean, matter of fact, we ought to have the guys on or some of the people on that went to King of the Hammers. I've seen a little bit here and there of that, but that was awesome. The other thing that we want to do moving forward is continue to do more of these group trips and potentially do kind of larger regional events. So if anybody has recommendations on where those should be, if you know a great spot with great activities, anything like that, let us know either over on Rivian Stories or even in the comments here.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, one thing that that I've gotten a lot of feedback on is when are we doing a camping trip like this on the West Coast or like more central so that we can get some West Coasters in, which more central probably honestly is going to be like Colorado or like I don't want to say Kansas, nothing against Kansas, but it's Kansas. But yeah, like, so to Skyler's point, if you know of any place that is as convenient as Palmetto Shores RV Resort is for me, considering that's managed by my sister-in-law, that, and is willing to accept EVs, which we have come across as hasn't been the easiest, especially when you tell them that you could expect upwards of like 50 EVs that are going to be pulling power. You know, I mean, people immediately start freaking out. But it really isn't that. It's not that serious.
It's really not. And
No.
I mean, places like RV parks are probably pretty good sites because I mean, EVs in general are not going to pull a heck of a lot more power using mobile charging adapters than
Right.
having
Right.
RVs running air conditioners nonstop. So
Correct. Yep. So no, I'm excited. So we definitely, that's something that we're working on, to get more people included, to be more inclusive. And so yeah, if you got any spots, like, let us know, please. Comments or over on Rivian Stories. Yeah.
yeah. And with that, we will release another video on my tire thoughts and experience with my new tires. And then hopefully we're going to keep a regular cadence on getting some more content out there. So yeah, hopefully there will be much more to come shortly.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks for being patient with us and hanging out with us, or sticking around rather, during the lull. But definitely looking forward to getting back into the rhythm of recording and getting content out for you guys. So stay tuned.